Welcome to WagerTalk TV. I am Kelly Stewart at Kelly in Vegas, joined by Drew Martin at Drew Martin Bets. Make sure you guys are giving him a follow on Twitter. Today, we're going to break down some college basketball, Drew, and how you approach handicapping college basketball. You're one of our best college basketball handicappers over at sportsmemo.com. So make sure you guys head over there and check out all of Drew's plays. Drew, we're going to start with number one. Look, I really enjoy watching college basketball. I like to try to find spots in game, and that is because of the pace of play. We know that teams tend to go on runs. So please talk to me about pace of play and how you work that into your handicap.
Sure, Kelly. I mean, pace of play, I would say, is probably the most important in terms of going after a college basketball total, both over and under. I mean, if you've ever had an over ticket in college basketball and both teams are just sitting on the ball with the guards dribbling on the outside, that really is true frustration. So being able to kind of avoid those situations. And also, if you have an under ticket and teams are just going up and down the court, that's very important to know as well. So I just think being able to research and find what teams are really going up tempo and then the other teams that are kind of, maybe in the 300s in terms of pace of play, they're some of the slower teams, are very important metrics in terms of putting yourself in a good position, both for betting overs and unders with college basketball totals.
Drew, coupled with that, let's talk about who actually controls that pace of play.
Sure. This is a very important kind of handicapping angle. And I really have a two-step system. It's very simple, Kelly. You would go with the more talented team controlling the pace. Let's just say you have more talented guards on a Power Five team in the ACC. You would think that that team is likely going to be able to control pace. If they want to go fast up and down the court, they'd be able to. Or if their team, maybe like Virginia, slowing the ball down, maybe going, 25 seconds before putting up the first shot. That type of team, the more talented team, usually controls the pace. Now, if both teams are about the same talent level, I usually resort to the home team. The team that's playing at home in a normal year, Kelly, with the fans, is usually able to control pace with two teams that are of similar talent. Now, in 2020, with no fans, I'm still here kind of tinkering with my numbers on really how to factor that in. But in a normal year, Kelly, I would say the number two way to tell who's going to control the pace is the home team.
All right, let's go on to number three. You said this is the most important steps in terms of producing profits.
Yeah, and that would be changes, finding change really across all of sports betting. I think it's the single most important to get an advantage over the odds makers, just because a lot of the time the odds makers have a lot of data behind it, but a lot of times it's full season data. So if you can find an injury or just a team that was maybe pressing full court, so therefore creating more fast breaks on turnovers and also maybe giving up easy baskets on the other side, and let's just say they pull off of pressing in their next game, and you're able to research and find that they're going to do that, that could be a very valuable thing to maybe betting an under in that next game. Also, finding a team, one thing that I've had a lot of success with the last couple years, a team that maybe plays man to man, good on ball defense, and then they switch to maybe a 2-3 or 3-2 zone or 1-3-1 zone. A zone is kind of where overs can go to die, just because it takes a little bit longer for the opposing offense to really dissect the opposing zone defense. So a team switching to zone is something I always try to research, and then therefore betting that team in the next couple games after finding that change towards the under. But yes, finding change across all sports betting, especially in college basketball totals, very, very important, Kelly.
Drew, we know the point spread here, particularly in Vegas, is the great equalizer, as they joke over at the Westgate. Good teams win, great teams cover. But how do you incorporate the actual Vegas line into your handicap?
Love that saying, by the way, Kelly. Good teams win, great teams cover, and hats off to you on really making that happen. But point spread factor within betting college basketball totals is very important, because if you have a team that's, let's say, minus 30-point favorites, and you're betting an over, you got to really factor in that they're likely going to be up by 20 plus points with, say, 7 to 10 minutes to go. They're not going to be pedal to the metal, most likely, like they would in a competitive matchup if they were an up-tempo team. Now, some coaches are a little bit different and they'll really run up the score, both in college football and college basketball. So you kind of got to do a little bit more research. But I really wanted to point out here with the fourth most important tip in betting college basketball totals that you do need to be factoring in the point total, not only with big spreads, Kelly, but let's just say, it's a 4, 5, 6 point spread. That's right in the foul zone. So, coming down in the last like 45 seconds, 1 minute, if you're betting an under and it's a competitive game and it's just a 4 or 5 point, difference here and one team's down, they're likely going to foul, stop the clock, get foul shots on the other end. You really got to watch out for that. And you're not going to be able to stop all of that from happening. Let's just say you had a nice call on the under and it's a foul fest at the end. That's going to happen from time to time in betting this, but you kind of want to limit those situations and put them more on your side than not. So yeah, definitely being able to bring in the spread factor into college basketball totals is very important.
All right, and it looks like your fifth and final tip is efficiency. Now, as someone who uses Ken Palm to do all of the math work for me, I know that he uses adjusted efficiency a lot. Can you go into that one as your fifth and final point?
Sure. And some people might make the argument, Kelly, that this is, with pace of play, the top. And I really can't make the argument that it's not because they work hand in hand in terms of how many points a team is going to score. How many times do you go up the court? And how many times do you put the ball in the basket, which would be the efficiency part of it? I just happen to put this at fifth because I think efficiency is more factored in the marketplace. If Zion Williamson for Duke, everybody knows he can slam it down. He's a future NBA player. So the efficiency is more out there in kind of known to sports bettors and the odds makers. So that's why I put it fifth. But yeah, in terms of adjusted efficiency, how efficient they are at putting the ball in the basket, both 3 point shooting, 2 point shooting. And a key one here, Kelly, is free throws. If the difference between a team going, 7 from 15 from the line or 13 from 15 from the line is 6 points. Now, if both teams are doing that, that's 12 points that you could put in your pocket or take away from yourself. So really watch those free throw percentages. If you're betting overs on teams that struggle with free throws, I would tell you to kind of pump the brakes on that. Also, if you're betting unders with teams that really knock it down from the free throw line, towards 80% on the season, I would watch out for that as well. So really factor in the free throws and overall efficiency into your college basketball totals betting.
Great stuff from Drew. Again, make sure you guys are following Drew at Drew Martin Bets on Twitter. Head over to sportsmemo.com and you can get all of Drew's college basketball plays.